All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for ReZero, Season 2, Episode 20. Oh, guys.
Okay.
Roswaal.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to him about the sanctuary. We're going to get him to join us, potentially.
Maybe? Are we finally going to get an epic level wizard, like, fully on our side?
Like, everything has been just one by one. Subaru's just going to everyone, getting them on his side. Win. Yep. And now that Amelia's about to be finished up with she is finished up with the trial, but meaning that she's not ready, basically, yet for them to come in and greet her. They're going to quickly go over and just, it'll be quick. We'll just grab the epic level wizard and, he'll be on our side.
In no time.
A wizard that's well over 400 years old. No big deal.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Yeah. Let's do it. Y'all, without further ado, let's get into it.
たまったマナの発散の仕方も知らないとは理解度の低さが嘆かわしいな。
I mean, that's one way to get him to, ingest your fluids.
どうだい?
Yeah.
少しは楽になったかな?
Regardless of whether that did anything to his mana, I feel like he would feel better.
あなたは一体
私は魔女だ。たまに善行もする悪い魔女だよ。君
Oh, Echidna, you're too good. You're too good.
お前、その妙に生温かい目つき気に入らないのよ。言いたいことがあるなら受けて立つかしら。
僕は君を愛しているよ。
気色悪い
あ
先生。
やれやれ。どうやらまだまだ揃って手のかかる子のようだ。
Oh, this is so cool, though. The fact that this is just like a Echidna backstory as well.
いい顔をするね、ベアトリス。僕は君のその顔が先生の顔の次に好きなんだ。なんて
言い方しやがるのよ。お前なんかちょっと才能と家柄に恵まれて世界最高の死を得た幸運なやつかしら。
I'll remember this for centuries.
ベアトリスに代わって謝っておくよ。
いえ、そんな恐れ多いです。読書は人生を豊かにしてくれるのよ。
とまさしく先生の受け売りを口にするベアトリスなのでした。
お母様が呼んでるかしら。
Okay.
ロズワール、お母様はお前もお呼びなのよ。緊急事態かしら。
どうやら奴が来た。僕ではまだ先生のお役に立てない。盾になれと言われれば喜んで盾になります。ですが対抗策なしでは。
ある程度聖域の目算は立っている。ただし結界の発動に必要な核がまだ不十分だ。それなしでは結界は機能しない。
その足りていない結界の核として、私はお役に立てませんか？エキドナ様のお作りになる結界、その核の条件に合うのが私だと。誰に蔑まれず疎まれることもない生活を送れて幸せでした。その時間の恩返しができるなら、私の生きた意味はそこにあるのだと思うのです。
君のオドを触媒に聖域の核を作り上げる。
Okay.
そうすれば工程を短縮し結界を機能させることができるだろう。ベアトリスには知らせない方がいいんじゃないか。
今ここでベアトリスを呼ばなかったら僕も先生も一生あの子に恨まれますよ。呼んでもそうかもしれませんが。
Jeez.
Well, shit.
So much for buying time.
It's something.
Oh, that face on the guy. Wait, is that? Yeah! From Monogatari, it's Kaiki.
The parallels to Amelia's story. People trying to buy time.
Jeez! Oh my god, how is he?
How does he survive this?
何にどう生き方を曲げられようと限られた選択肢から今の自分を選んだのはお前だ。憂鬱の魔人
Hector.
Now, I don't think we've ever heard devil be used. It's always archbishop or witch.
本当にどうも己はお前が苦手だ。
Jesus.
間に合った。 とは到底言い難い状況のようだ。決別した時そのままだ。
お前の口の聞き方も相変わらずなってない。
ほうけてないでお母様が時間を稼いでくれている間に動くのよ。
申し訳ありません。少しだけ目にゴミが。
やっぱりお前はここでおとなしくしているかしら。
ベアトリー様、
Oh,
大変長い間お世話に
this
な
is
りました。
There it
goodbye.
is.
ここでお別れです。
To the
お
things
別
we
れっ
loved.
てどういうバカなことを言うんじゃないのよ。お前の身を捧げるって魔法のことも何も知らないお前に何ができるっていうかしら。
Really?
お前に
Wow.
は待って、違うのよ。今すぐベティがお母様に直談判してくるかしら。お母様はベティに甘いし、きっと聞いてくれ。
そんな時間はありません。
No.
ベティの扉渡りでみんなここから逃げてしまえばいいのよ。
Whoa.
あんまり大勢だとベティも大変だけど、そのぐらいやってのけるのよ。隙を見てロズワールを拾ってお母様も連れ出すかしら。ほら、これで。
Yeah.
エキドナ様やロズワール様のおかげで、ようやく手に入れた安寧の地。それを捨ててまた新しい聖域を作るのにどのくらいかかるんでしょうか。私はこの場所が好きです。ここで暮らせて本当に良かったと思っています。ここで私たちが過ごした時間の全部が始まりのままだったはずがありません。私は何もなくしてなんかいません。もらったもの全部抱えたままです。
I love how because it was through her memories, we're getting her as the perspective kind of character through most of it. Most of it, yeah.
ベアトリス様には何度も今も数々のご恩情感謝を申し上げます。甘いもの食べ過ぎないように注意してくださいね。
本を読み書きを教える約束が。
さようなら、ベティ。
Betty. Oh.
もう一度言う、降伏しろ。流れは変わったんだ。屋敷に向かわせた連中を止めろ。
断るよ、スバル君。この程度の変化に折れるほど私の400年は軽くはない。
Yeah.
あれだけ威勢よくよそ者に噛みついていた君が今やスバル君と愉快な仲間たちの一員だ。
That's how we roll, bitch.
てめえの言葉軽いなロゼ。
これまで10年の月日、こだわり続けてきた思い、それをたやすく手放す君が私に軽いとは。君が母を、家族を本当に愛していたのなら、そんなに愛していたのなら、
Careful now.
そんなにたやすく変わってしまうものなの
Careful.
か。それとも君は母を、家族を愛していなかったのか。
俺様は別に喧嘩に負けたってだけで大将についたわけじゃねえよ。俺様は10年ずっと過去にこだわってた。その過去と10年ぶりにやり合った。
Yeah.
過去と相対したと君が。
弱え弱え、そのまんまでいろって言われより、お前は強いから必要だって言われ方につきたくなんのが当然だろうが。
Yeah.
だよ。
Their
な
faces.
んでもね。
優位は依然私の側にある。
Really?
賭けの条件に君は自分の持つ最大の武器を縛り、ただ人となったんだ。人並み以下のお前に何ができる。月日が刻み込んだ思いは誰にも侵されざる聖域だ。何人たりともそれは変えられない。私の400年がただ人のお前に覆されることなど
I refuse to be like you. They absolutely
信じ
changed.
続けてきた思いだからか。
ああ、そうだとも。
どうしてお前は思うことの弱さばっかり見てるんだ。
私がそれを信じているからだ。お前が誰かの強さを信じて期待するように、私は誰もが弱いままだと。
Oh, does this have something to do with Echidna?
This is like the core of his identity.
Yeah.
400年、私は一人の女性を思い続けている。
Oh.
共に過ごした日々よりずっと長く、 触れ合えない時を過ごしてもなおその姿が焼き付いて離れない。もう一度言おう。
Hunchback of Notre Dame,
優位
Hellfire.
は私の側にある。記述の一部が食い違おうとそれでどうなる。私と君にとって肝心要の一人が残り続ける限り、勝負は終わらない。夜べをなくし自分の抱える後悔に押しつぶされ変わるなんて大望を抱いたことを泣きじゃくって君にすがる。それがお似合いか。
泣き顔が似合う女なんかいるもんかよ。
傷つけて貶められる。それがハーフエルフの宿命だ。嫉妬の魔女と同じ執事は生まれながらに背負った呪い。魔女と蔑まれる必然だよ。
ふざけるな。あの子のどこが魔女だ。お前らが寄ってたかってあの子を魔女にするんだろうが。誰か一人でもあの子に言ってやったことがあるのかよ。苦しい時や悲しい時は泣いてもいいんだって。流した涙が拭えないならそう。
Let's go, Subaru!
Yeah, lay into him.
誰もしないなら俺がそれをする。思いが呪いが変わる余地のないもんだって信じてるお前に俺たちが叩きつけてやる。
Make that pose.
Ah, yes!
銀色のハーフエルフエミリアの騎士。
Nice.
私の睨んだ通りだ。夏木スバル。
何。
君と私は似たもの。
So alike, so alike.
思い人に理想を強要するという意味でね。
お前は弱さ、俺は強さを信じる。
Okay. Focusing on that. Nice, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
お帰りなさいませ、エミリア様。
The boys are going to grab
Right,
Roswaal.
right.
I told them it was a dumb idea, but you know.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
right.
This is why the sanctuary was formed. It was a place of protection, you know, in a lot of ways, that anyone inside the sanctuary is immune to the effects of the outside world. Makes sense. But also, we have been introduced to Hector, the devil of melancholy.
Right.
Which I think we have to go out on a limb, and until we see a second devil, that's just a title. You know,
Yeah.
he could be anyone.
Right,
He could be
that almost-
anything. It doesn't mean anything necessarily.
That seems like it almost could have been like a translation difference or something like that. I don't know, or whatever.
Well, no. I'm just saying that, like, if it's as far as it being a new title, it doesn't mean that there's now 12 devils, you know, or something like that.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. It just he has a specific aspect of the world that we have yet to breach into.
Right. And the one thing that seemed interesting about that is that there was this notion that when Echidna went to fight him, or even that Roswaal specifically bought time so that way Echidna would be able to hold him off long enough for the barrier to be put up.
Okay, that's a okay.
Because there was a point where it was either the devil guy or Roswaal. They said something about the fact that that it was done for the sake of Echidna because there was this sense that Echidna might not be sufficient in this situation. And then we see Echidna go and fight him, right? And there's this sense of like, we're still on a time crunch. Echidna might not be enough. Roswaal was defeated, and now, you know, there's big explosions and everything's shaking, and maybe we can whisk away Echidna from all this. The idea that there would be a being that in fighting a witch one-on-one would be, it would be assumed that they would probably win. That's insane. Because up till now, the witches have been like the absolute power ceiling. Like, I don't think
they are. I don't think they are.
No,
but Puck is the absolute power ceiling. He's literally the bringer of the end.
No, dude, totally.
So barring the movies, yeah.
No. But even with that, you know, Reinhard was sent to go kill Puck in one of the timelines. You know, So like
he's also like supposedly like the strongest swordsman. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But as far as beings of legendary power and things like that,
That's the whole show, though, right? Like, it's just they're all beings of legendary power, right? Sorry.
Yes, but the ones that are usually brought up as the ones that are the most terrifying, the most worried about, or whatever, right? It, for the most part, goes down to the witches, and if there are beings and entities and stuff above them, we don't usually go into it.
Well, right. But that was, remember, the world has Satala being the one that is the witch.
Yes.
So the power levels of all the other witches aren't necessarily up, like, necessarily stupid high. Like,
comparable, but not the same. Yeah.
right. Because we've never seen a witch really, like, use their abilities against another being, except for the episode bit that we just had previously, which was Pandora.
Right.
But we've never actually seen a witch really fight, like, other than maybe Satala when all the darkness just went everywhere.
Sure.
And Satala's supposed to be, even though it's not actually how things went, apparently. The history might have been wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Satala is supposedly stronger than all of them combined.
Well,
so.
and that's why this stands out to me, is because it's something where we have a witch desiring to do something and potentially not being capable of doing the thing
because someone else comes in.
Because someone else comes in of relatively equal or even greater power.
Right.
That up till now we've had the witches all having their tea time together and things like that, and them talking and doing their thing, but never, whenever they would even come close to the I will give a glimpse, to Subaru, at least because he was the perspective character, of what kind of phenomenal cosmic power we wield, it's sanity shattering, right? And then here comes along this guy called Devil of Melancholy, apparently. Hector, yeah.
Seems such a basic ass name. Too.
Right. Yeah.
And
he's apparently on another level.
Yeah, that's why I actually don't want to go immediately and assume that. This is why I'm kind of pushing back on that idea, is because we've never seen Echidna fight. We don't know necessarily that all witches are actually great in combat.
That's true.
We know actually a little bit about the idea that, even the witch that we did see fight, Pandora, was bodied in an instant by Regulus.
Oh.
Regulus's ability in terms of combat. Yes, of course. Yeah. But Regulus' ability in terms of combat is stronger in that kind of angle there. So that's why I think that there's a possibility that the witches are more or less actually kind of just a regular kind of advanced, magic user. And this guy comes in and he's like, yes, I am determined. I'm dogged. There's no way you can beat me. And yes, your student is basically just getting thrown out there to buy time, which I'm more interested in that being the idea of another way in which Echidna kind of is using him.
Oh,
Just like, oh, yeah. Just, oh, no, you love me, don't you? So
right.
Go and do all this stuff for me.
The fact that we never saw her eyes when she talked about the whole idea of what would have to happen for Ryuzumeya to, get the core running and things like that. And then, just several things. Yeah, there's this vibe that we got from previous episodes as we were starting to get more and more into Roswaal as a character, that he was a lot like Subaru. Yes. Like a lot like Subaru. And this episode just sort of flat out Subaru confirmed it in literally overlaying them on the screen. And, yeah. And their similarities being one that is, in their negatives, they're both obsessive over a woman. They're both obsessive over someone that is, make a pun here, someone that has bewitched them. You're right. And funnily enough, it's the areas in which Subaru has kind of unwaifued Emilia. Yeah. That shows that ways that he's grown beyond you, Roswaal. Roswaal just feels like a gigantic hypocrite. Like, if you ask me. Yeah, he's so hardened onto this idea that like there's a course that he can take. There's a book that gives him like the exact way things need to go, and then as things start to change and shift, he's like, no. Well, see,
it's still gonna go my way.
Isn't it just stubbornness basically? Because it's the he's been alive for 400 years, right? Like, if it took a fair amount for Garth to be changed after 10 years, right? Now, granted, it was in one day essentially, but there were a lot of times where we saw it not work,
right,
but not the exact. Subaru didn't try the exact same thing, but you get the point,
right? But,
so for Roswaal, he's been at this 40 times as long,
and yet he still is in love with Echidna, and yet you haven't seen her for 400 years. That's some serious like if you take any of the points where Subaru is obsessed with Amelia, this is some next level obsession.
It's you
don't have a relationship with her,
basically.
Yeah. And there must have been some time before that where they actually did spend time together.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them, at the pre-sanctuary.
Yeah, but there's not really much that we actually see of them together in any kind of relationship dynamic.
Nope.
It feels more like anything.
Hey, she matched out with him and addressed a physical issue,
Right. It looked like, if anything, she put the full charm on him and then was just like, I claim you.
Yep. You're mine.
Yeah.
I
mine
keep you.
Tool. Thank you. Like, I feel like he's in complete denial of reality. Like, I almost feel like I have to question now why he really came to the sanctuary in the first place.
Well,
why is he actually injured?
Well, I mean, there's all the technical reasons of that were gone over in the first half of the season.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole idea of him rejecting reality, in a lot of ways, that is the name and game of this whole show, right?
Sure.
Subaru sees a reality, rejects it.
Yep.
Goes for a different one.
Yeah.
Roswaal, the parallel's very strong. Might see a reality and be like, nah, I think there's another one out there. And you only really find out whether you're crazy or not when it works or it doesn't, like
kinda, yeah.
Like, because if it does work, if you manage to shift realities or whatever, whether through return by death or or some other some other means or shenanigans, right? Yeah. Then it's, oh wow, you have devilish courage and all that stuff, and you're incredible, Sugoi, right? And then if it doesn't, then it's something else,
right? It's just the idea that since he's set all this up and he's pushed everything in this specific direction, and yet the core of his being and who we've now kind of know him to be as a person, not as a wizard, not as some grand old ancient magic user who's, got this grand perspective on things. This is a simple, pun intended, a simple man.
Yes.
He does not have a lot going on inside, actually. He is, in my opinion, this is his, like, yeah, well, whatever, Subaru. Like, who are you even? How dare you?
Well,
it feels like he's clutching on to that last little vestige of an illusion.
In some ways, that's a very human thing to do, because it's
right.
It's
sure. But still,
because humans aren't logical beings. I mean, we can use logic, right? But when it comes right down to it, we're emotional. Yeah. It's the whole thing of, you can make humans look pretty much however you want, whether you compare them to beasts versus computers.
Oh, sure,
right?
Sure. Yeah, depending on what on what you want to highlight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That line in the Matrix of, to deny our instincts is and urges is to deny the very thing that makes us human. It's like, yes, compared to machines, but compared to animals, your ability to then, deny those instincts.
Choose which instincts you're going to act upon.
Exactly, right. So in this situation here, Subaru is laying out some pretty good arguments, some pretty compelling arguments, right? Of like, hey, here's why I think you should join up with me, right?
Yeah.
And Roswaal's like, that's great and all, that works for you. But I'm too old and stubborn. I'm 400 years down this
I've
path.
gifted too many subs at this point.
I don't want to spend another 800 years of 400 retracing my steps and then 400 starting a new one, starting a new path. Like, I don't know. And the thing is, that's the stubbornness, because it probably wouldn't take that long. Garf, like you said, hey, all of a sudden, one conversation, and what happened to those 10 years? Well, he made his first shift.
He made his first bit of growth. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that I really liked about the way Garf brings in this very, very, again, simple yet profound perspective. Is he says, why would I follow the guy that's told me to stay weak and remain in the past for the last 10 years when I get told by this guy that he needs me because I'm strong? I loved that idea of boiling it down to, hey, you asked me basically just to dwell on the past and never move on, which is effectively saying, like, I need your weakness. Okay, great. Then Subaru comes along and is like, I actually need your strength. I need what you bring to the table. I don't need what you don't bring to the table. Like, what does that even mean? So I think in some ways this is all his just... I feel like there's some element of like a fantasy land of sorts with regards to this for him, where he feels like that, Echidna is so much stronger than him that she needed his weakness. And he's like,
sure.
Yes, my weakness is yours, milady.
And there is something very comforting when there's a desire to have and understand someone else's weakness, right? In tandem with, everything else, right? Mm-hmm. But that exclusively, and also, I don't know. Did you get this vibe that, like, when I was looking at the stuff that was happening in the past, right, and everything that Roswaal was doing and stuff, before we actually got to the conversation with Subaru confronting,
and I keep calling Biyako, but Beatrice and
Betty and Ryuzu Mayer, right?
Yeah,
or Mayer,
whatever. Ryuzu.
Yeah. Point is, I was like, these two things seem a bit hard to like.
Which two things?
The Roswaal of now and of then, and then the Roswaal that we've had recently.
Yeah.
How do those two match up?
Oh, I very much can see the difference. Roswaal in the past is smitten.
Right.
He's absolutely smitten. Roswaal in the present is bitter.
Yeah. And bitterness, I feel like the strongest bitterness doesn't really come from other people and what they did or what happened to you.
Well, all stuff comes from within, like
No, right, exactly. It gave me the sense of guilt.
Oh, that he failed her that time 400 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why he was kind of like, so what do you know?
Uh-huh.
And then it's you actually don't know about the fight that happened at that point. That's all stuff that wasn't from Ryuzu's perspective, so she doesn't know anything about that. So you don't know anything about that, Subaru. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I very much could see that being the case. I just feel like that's the kind of thing of where once Roswaal does try to
free himself?
Well, no, to win the bet, basically. He's gonna just come up to the point that he'll have to basically, like he kind of would have to just kill Subaru. He can't actually beat him here.
Right. Thankfully, he doesn't know that Subaru returns by dying, I think. But, but regardless,
he knows he has something
that allows him to cycle back,
go through with this.
And
he just doesn't know how it works necessarily.
Right. And what's curious to me is that with the way that this bet is set up, Roswaal kind of, like, at any point he could sort of renege on the competition, right, on the bet, and that's kind of what he's doing now. It's kind of what he's doing now. But because it's a battle of ideals and which way is best, right? It's and also Subaru's capabilities, right?
It's more of a capability thing, I think, than ideals, because the ideals thing was something he didn't even really understand, I would say.
To anathema?
Sure. I don't know how that phrase works in this context, though.
It's like the so opposite as to be like unknowable.
Right. I just feel like that. Oh, okay, I feel like you just said the word anathema.
Okay,
but
having the 2 on there is redundant.
Right? Yeah.
It's anathema to him, right?
Right.
You know, it's the our paths diverged at some point. You know, the path I would have had to take to turn out like you. Mm-hmm. I made that decision 400 years ago.
Right.
You know,
so
like that's so long gone.
Yeah.
There's no way. It is too late for me.
Yeah. And I really want then there to be a point then where he just acknowledges his own powerlessness in this situation, because then he's basically said, as you can see, Roswaal, I don't need you.
But it would really help to have you.
Well, I actually just want you. I just want you on our side.
Yeah.
There's nothing so grand or whatever about it, but like, we could do so much. And like, what are you getting here? Like, nothing. You really think this is going to work with Amelia? Look what I did with Garf. Like, look what I did with this rando you didn't even know about here.
Let me go to the mansion and bring back Beatrice.
Like, I'm about to literally go pick up Amelia. The only reason why you're doubting me right now is because you haven't seen just literally how much Amelia has grown in this last little bit of time here.
Yep.
Facing her past was huge.
What do you know? Positive reinforcement can be helpful.
Well, not only that, but maybe, Roswaal, if you did the same and faced your past, you might be able to grow and move on as well. I love looking back at a couple of things from season 1 where you can almost feel there's this indignance and separation and isolation from Betty.
Than now.
From Betty and Roswaal.
Okay.
And that they don't really interact. They don't.
That's true. And that was one of the things that I was kind of curious about, and that's why I brought up the whole guilt angle, because if there were to be a way that Roswaal would manipulate Beatrice in a similar way to Garf, probably, because if he's manipulating Garf in this way, he can be a lot simpler about it because Garf is young and naive and all that stuff and everything, right?
Right.
With Beatrice, it's a bit more complicated because they're peers, right?
Yeah.
He's known her for 400 years, and yeah, she's really smart, right? But I could totally see Beatrice feeling guilty because she wasn't able to help. She wasn't able to do the thing that resulted in Ryuzu making her sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And then as a result of that, Roswaal basically uses that to, keep her, a neat, right? Shut up in her room and all that.
Yeah, I very much want them to go more into the dynamic of those two together, given that they end up spending all this time in the mansion after all those years. And I feel like there's a couple things that I'll notice maybe on a rewatch, but there was even a sort of a vibe that I was getting that when Beatrice said, "I'll use my door and I can just get everyone out of here." Yeah. There was this almost this inception of an idea of the mansion, maybe.
Sure.
At that point. There was the idea that at some point,
I
want to bring, everyone out of this situation where we won't have to worry about this. And then there's a mansion around the village where she's then,
But no one wanted to come with her, and no one still wants to come with her, so she runs away all by herself.
Yeah.
Stays there for 400 years. Yeah. In a similar way to Roswaal. Roswaal has allowed a thought, an idea to possess him for centuries.
For so long.
And Beatrice did too.
Yeah. Beatrice, though, is based around the idea of... They're both based around the idea of loss, I would say. But the thing is that Beatrice had a promise that was built into there was something reciprocal about the relationship in that regard. So she then basically spends all that time reading, spends all that time just kind of there, probably as a way just to feel close to Ryuzu after all that time. Roswaal, I feel like he then put on the paint, he then put on the character and just kind of became someone else. Probably tried to forget and ignore that guy in the mirror that failed his beloved Echidna.
Or become the most incredibly powerful, amazing, mage wizard
so that it would
ever.
Never fail anyone like that again.
Right, so that if, whenever it happens, I get the chance to make
go
good.
back into the sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will not fail her again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was expecting kind of that this would be like a tie-in to also why Echidna is in the basically the space that the witches inhabit, which I feel like that might still...
We still don't know entirely what that is.
Yeah, that still might get explained.
The sanctuary is not that.
Right.
That is That's place within the sanctuary. The sanctuary is the bounded field of,
if anything,
forests.
It almost feels like a courtesy to the other residents of the sanctuary of, we'll hang out in here because, it'd be disruptive for all of you. But at the same time, I don't get the sense that Echidna, at the very least, currently can leave.
No.
So,
in fact, I think that Echidna is desperately probably trying to leave.
Right.
And that's why she was so infatuated with the idea of Subaru. She was just like...
Well, and that's why, like I was kind of figuring that, if this devil guy shows up, maybe it's that he actually, not truly killed her, but, destroyed her body in some way so that then she had to, inhabit this other space, but she didn't have a host or something like that.
And then that would mean that that's not necessarily all the witches in there. That's some essence of them that's in there with her.
Sure.
I would love a little bit of a reveal with regards to what that whole thing is, unless it's just something that we've been told about in a very kind of casual, that's obviously what it is.
Right, because there was the whole thing of Satila consuming the other witches, but that's from a history that might be not reliable.
Yeah, I don't think it's reliable.
So, yeah.
Because we get to... Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So, I feel like we got half a backstory because we only got the Ryuza perspective. I want the Roswaal perspective.
Me too.
I feel like that should come next episode.
I want the Echidna perspective, but...
Well, I don't think we're getting the Echidna perspective. Not until Subaru literally, is like, okay, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. And she's gonna. Yeah, okay. You're sure?
There are certain kind of
writing,
unwritten rules with a lot of stories where it's like, if you ever get the perspective of a character, then at that point you kind of know everything you need to know about them. Maybe not in details, but can I trust this person? You know, is it's either you don't get their perspective ever because you want to keep it mysterious of whether or not you can trust them and to what degree, or you get their perspective because they're just full on the villain now and you want to see them do their thing,
That make-out kiss, though, with Echidna.
Tongue animation and everything. And
oh my gosh, that was...
And the mana that has, physicality to it, so then it's the saliva and everything.
It reminds me in a... Konosuba, would you like me to suck it out? Absolutely.
Yes, no, I know. I was thinking that too.
The exact same thing. But the idea that Echidna has this hunger, if you will.
She
just wants
greedy.
More. She's greedy.
Yeah.
When she did that, it felt so wrong. It felt like the idea of someone.
Well, it was predatory.
It was predatory. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I really wonder if we're going to end up pitying Roswaal. Just to the idea that it's not his fault, really, that Echidna chose to put her wiles on him.
I kind of do already.
You kind of do already?
And I think that's one of the reasons of why it was so important that they just left all casually. Yeah, because it's your words don't carry enough weight to influence me. You couldn't pick up even a single Quain stone or whatever, even if you had 100 people, because you wouldn't let any of them help you or whatever. I don't know.
Right. But also in the idea that I don't feel pity for him because it's been 400
fucking years. Yeah, it's like okay, dude,
move on.
I can't remember how many reactions ago it was, but there was a point where I talked about how I think it was when the bet was introduced that I loved that that Roswaal was getting this new sense of something new, right? Because after 400 years, you've seen a lot of shit, right?
So it's Subaru coming in and being this X factor. He's like,
I knew you were.
He's like, I knew you were connected to the witch, but wait a minute.
Hold on now.
Are you the person?
Right.
Are you that guy?
And then on top of that, the fact that he's an archmage, right? That's something where, if it's based on knowledge and things like that, You need to constantly be learning. But this Roswaal, if anything, feels like in a similar way to Beatrice, even if not as literal and physical and tangible of a way.
Right.
He just shut himself in. Didn't really learn much of anything, didn't seek out new perspectives or anything like that. Just kind of kept turning that crank, spinning that wheel, you know, and he got benefits from it. But
in a lot of ways, that's maybe the beauty of Subaru in season 1 was that he breaks Betty out of her shell, and he really does make her. She ends up liking him.
Oh yeah,
really quickly because
she straight up fights Roswaal over him.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But on the wholesome side, the Ryuzu Betty stuff, that was so sweet. And I love the part where Ryuzu, like, mockingly and lovingly kind of imitates her voice. And I was just like, oh, that's adorable.
Yep.
Because rarely, I'll just say, in maybe this is more in other anime that I just haven't seen, I love when the two super cute, little dainty, tiny archetype characters have this wonderful, wholesome relationship with each other. And it's not this thing of where it's all like, oh, look, so small, tiny head pat, you know? It's, no. They're like sisters. They love each other.
It's the power of the animated film that starts with, like, here are these characters as kids with giant eyes, and they're so adorable, you know, and then the pain comes in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I really felt like I understood the silence between those characters really well. And I think that's good to do when you have a character who's both I'm the snotty, bratty...
Right, I suppose, you know.
Snotty, bratty. That's what I meant to say, but I inverted my vowels there. But then with the
sort of
other
works.
character, that's the quiet, I say only a little bit, I'm very, very, calm there. And then having an emotional scene where it's very much okay, I've just got to say goodbye. Yeah. And we know how it goes because we've seen the future of the stuff there. But, it was a really warm and fuzzy scene. So
we can run away and stuff and all of that, and you know nothing, Jon Snow. Like
that's cold.
Like,
why'd you do that? No.
But
it wasn't that sad.
No. Oh, that tangent, but that broke me more than anything from Game of Thrones. But yeah.
Okay. Garfield, Ram, Emilia, Otto, Subaru. No Roswaal.
Yep.
But they're ready to go.
Squad up and head out.
Do they just go back to the mansion now?
I hope so. I kind of really want to see how that goes because I think they can. I think they'd lay the smack down on Elsa's ass.
But what's so crazy about this is, does Roswaal just sit in the sanctuary?
Wouldn't that be
deny
poetic?
Reality again?
Wouldn't that be so poetic? I mean, especially because if they really want to go after Elsa with the whole crew, then in order to do that, they would have to actually break the barrier, open it, which Emilia would have to go through the trials.
Yeah.
So if Roswaal, I mean,
but the other trials are supposed to be very easy, and we're not sure whether she went through all the trials already.
I think
or if she's gone through just the one. We'll find out probably in the next episode.
Right, but regardless, they're going to eventually
get out
and
go to the mansion and save Rem.
Right, and Roswaal will then have a choice of, well, my mansion's over there, so I should probably go with them. But by doing so, that'd kind of be admitting that Subaru had a point. So there might be a part of him that wants to stay in the sanctuary that isn't a sanctuary anymore.
To spite Subaru.
But then you really realize that you're just kind of spiting yourself, and
Yeah. But I want to see something from his perspective with regards to the past events there. And since it wasn't shown, really, but we got hints of Roswaal perspective. That bit with the making out bit, that's something that felt very why are we getting shown this? And I would say there's a possibility because he might be on his last legs actually soon. If the barrier gets opened, who's to say that what's his face Hector doesn't come back?
That's true. That's true. Although I think he kind of might have gotten what he wanted. I don't know.
Who knows? In a lot of ways, one of the things that's kind of fun about this show is that it's too big for its own good at times.
Yes, like it is hard to keep track of everything.
There's a lot of things where you're like, why is this Hector guy being brought in? Probably for a future arc of story.
Why are we getting the backstory of them all hanging out with Echidna and everything? It's great, you know.
It's probably because Echidna is going to be a much bigger character the longer the story goes on.
And I want to see Roswaal interact with Echidna again.
Yes.
Oh man.
And Emilia's actions in the coming episodes will be big in that regard. So. Okay. Wow. Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all of this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.